There's one huge problem tons of people are struggling with in Path of Exile 2, and that would be their damage. And if a weapon is even good for them, is this weapon going to help me do more? Let me explain damage and help you with your choice, no matter if you're monk, ranger, merc, witch, whatever. Plus a little trick for tons of bonus DPS with the power of rage. Let's start with a simple one and slowly ease you into the topic. This is my lightning ranger, and I am using lightning rods and magnetic salvos. Now, magnetic salvos convert 80% of physical damage to lightning damage. And if you pop up the window on the side, you can see the exact breakdown. You get the damage per second, total damage, physical damage, fire, cold, lightning. The lightning is then the physical damage being transformed into the lightning damage. Now for this build, a cultist bow would be completely useless because it does chaos damage, and I am converting physical into lightning. Sounds trivial, right? Now my current bow does do physical and lightning. Both of these are fantastic. They're adding together, but the bonus fire and the cold damage are actually useless. Not completely, as they are somewhat adding to the damage. But let's assume we would be playing Heft as a support to boost our damage. That would be 30% more maximum physical damage, which will currently give us 50 DPS more. Not a ton for 30% more maximum physical damage. And the main reason for that is that the Heft gem does not influence your cold or fire damage in a single way. Yes, it gives me more physical damage, and we don't have much physical damage on the bow. That will then be transformed into more lightning damage. You can see this, the lightning and the physical damage go up. On my merc, with a more physical weapon, this looks vastly different. On this character, we are using the explosive grenades. They convert physical into fire damage. Now we have tons of physical, high-end 4,443. That's amazing. That gets turned into a lot of fire damage with some cold. Now the bow itself, you can see, has a high end of physical damage. So that's 203 compared to the 71, with some fire damage, with some cold damage. Same Heft gem here with 30% more physical. We're 2,500 damage and 3,600 total damage. And that one goes then all the way up, giving us a significant boost. I mean, that's 700 damage more on the top end on our fire damage. Obviously, there are support gems that play nice with all the elemental boosts. Namely, Elemental Focus. Supported skills deal 25% more elemental damage. That on the bow from before, with the 3 different elemental damages, would 25% all of them up. Final example, my monk, and then we're going over stacking multipliers and especially rage stuff as well, because that's quite crazy. My monk is doing Ice Strike, converting physical damage to cold damage. And with the Glacial Cascade, the same, physical to cold. Herald of Ice, physical to cold. But you also have the Herald of Thunder, which does physical to lightning, which clearly wants me to have as much physical as humanly possible. My current stuff has some physical, quite some fire, which is somewhat useless, and then cold. The cold is great, the physical is fantastic, the fire as good as 20 to 32 is, ain't it here? I'd rather be using this beauty with 54 to 112 damage. The problem here being that it does simply not have the +3 to all melee skills. And despite giving me tons of physical damage, yeah, it would be 600 damage less in this case. Can't be doing that. Even if I fully upgrade the staff and put in the iron runes, I don't think it would live up to the damage potential there. And the same goes for this beautiful elemental staff I found on my other character. 100 fire damage, 57 lightning damage. It would not only be bad, it would be absolutely 100% useless, as it has 0 physical to convert into cold. Now my melee weapon currently has 2 things to increase my damage. That'd be Martial Tempo, which is 25% attack speed, and 25% attack speed is directly just more DPS. You hit faster, you do more damage. Attack speed is always good, no matter what you do. That gets followed up by Primal Armament, which is then the elemental damage booster, also fantastic. But we get a third stack called Rage, and Rage is very interesting. We get 1% more attack damage per 1 range gained up to 30%. That would be a total of 30% more attack damage. But if I get 30% more attack damage, my standard weapon damage is going to go up. That will then also get further multiplied up. And this is quite something. We have 2000 DPS here right now. And if I start just beating away, stacking that rage up, well, you notice where my DPS are going, especially as I have more damage as a then critical hit, which leads to bonkers bonus DPS. Now this rage is gained from melee hits on my Ice Strike. No worries though, there is more rage available. You could Warcry, or put the Fund of Rage on a static object, plus a little trick. Now these static objects are available for all the classes. My Merc, who does physical damage, can put down an Artillery Ballista. I don't need the Artillery Ballista in any way for DPS, but I can just slap it down and look at my DPS. Yep. Then we're not even at 30 stacks. Yeah. Ta-da. When it goes away, you can just make sure to have it always up. Could probably put 2 down. Let's try that out for a second. We put on Persistence and Overabundance, and that should allow me to put down 1, 2 of these. And then have my DPS go even faster up because we have 2 available. The Fun of Rage says, Fun of Rage skill ground 2 rage generation per second to you and your allies. Yeah, so put it down. And we're just getting more rage, I think, faster. Or is it just 1 Fund of Rage and they're not even stacking? No matter! It's working! And the same could be used on your Ranger. And he does have multiple options. You could play the Orb of Storm Serine, and this Orb of Storm can be turned into a Fund of Rage and a Fund of Mana, by the way. Or in this case, use a very low-level version of the Artillery Ballista yourself. You just twack out behind you to just scale your damage in boss fights. Now we talked a lot about physical and elemental damage scaling. But what would your Sork do to do more damage? As we get sparks saying deal 12 to 229 lightning damage, which means a staff that gives you an increase in spell damage is straight up an increase in spell damage, right? 57% plus just multiplied upwards, as well as simple cast speed, increasing your DPS. The faster you cast, the more damage you get out per second. And the next one would be leveled to all spell skills. And that's the one that usually scales the best for anything. Melee skills, minions, whatever. Bonus skill levels straight up increase your damage. For example, our Flame Wall gives us 44 to 64 bonus damage. But if I add 4 more levels to it, it's 71 to 102 bonus damage to every spark. That's significant. Or the base spark damage being 7 to 141, and that going up to 229. More levels is often way better than having a higher physical damage or even 65% increased spell damage. And if we're now wandering to a Wender, that's also the first thing we look for, bonus spell levels. Not this bonus spell damage or anything, bonus lightning damage, any kind of that. It's always spell levels. In my case, also maximum mana, because maximum mana for a mage often means tons of damage increase, as we're playing increased spell damage per 100 maximum mana. Now casters do have it easier in this regard, as they don't have to look for physical, lightning, whatever kind of damage types on their weapon. Still though, be mindful of the gain 15% of damage as extra cold damage, which doesn't do anything for me in this case. Sure, I'm getting the bonus cold damage, but end of the day, everything we're doing with our passive tree curses and everything is increase lightning damage and increase lightning damage, lightning resistance, penetration, all that kind of stuff, minus lightning resistance on the enemy. The cold damage does not add to my build. It more detracts from it, as it's not working together with all our shebang on top. Now there's a final layer for improvement, and those are weapon intrinsic stats. This is a bombard crossbow, which has grenade skills fire an additional projectile. That's obviously incredible for me, as I just get 1 more grenade. Just like that, that's it, plus 1 grenade. Alternative, I could get a crossbow with an additional bolt, but why would I play that? Why would I want another bolt? No, I want more grenades. And the same goes for a ranger. You get normal bows and they're amazing, but then you could straight away have a dual string bow. And this one has an additional arrow. 1 more arrow is pretty much double the DPS, because nowhere is mentioned that the bonus arrow has like 50% of the damage, 20%. No, it's just another arrow. I shoot forward with my basic attack, My basic attack is now 2 basic attacks, so that's twice the damage. Now we went through all the damage types, scaling, all of that kind of stuff. And I got the final little test for the comment section. For our ranger who's turning physical into lightning damage, we have 2 bow choices. The one that gives you 26 to 54 physical damage and 5 to 9 cold, and then the other one that gives you 9 to 16 physical damage and 36 to 59 chaos damage. Which one would now be better for the lightning ranger, as this one is tons of damage, but the Wrath of Wingbow has more physical? Drop your answer in the comments below, and I think you all know the answer to this one. And if you're now looking for the merc or that insane monk build DPS stacking, enjoy and have a fantastic good day. Thanks for listening.